Hello. Today we're going to talk about the surface area of pyramids and cones. So with that, our pyramids tend to focus on rectangular or square pyramids, and our cones are like the bottom of an ice cream cone. So with that, the first thing we're going to talk about is pyramids. Now, when I have my pyramid, first of all, on the formula sheet, our formula sheet says our surface area equals 1/2 LP plus B. So with that, what is the L, what's the P, and what's the B? And then we'll move into actually solving one. So first, what is the L? The L here is what we call a lateral height. A lateral height is the outside height. You're finding, the outside height. You're finding the outside. Surface area is the outside of an object. So you need the height of the diagonal on the outside, which we'll identify when I draw the picture in a second. P stands for perimeter of the base, which we know that if it's a square, it's going to be a substitution of 4 times a side if it's a square. If it's a rectangle, it's 2 length plus 2W. But I'll be honest, 99% of them are square pyramids. So you're going to be using this one. 99% of them are. And then this big B is called the area of the base. So whatever your base is, you're finding the area of that. So in this case here, it's a side times side, because if it's a square, if it's a rectangle, it's still the length times the width. If it happened to be a triangle, triangular pyramids we don't see very often, but if it happened to be a triangle, it would just be 1/2 times base times height. So it just depends on whatever your base is, but it's the area of that base. We tend to see more square pyramids and more rectangular pyramids, but certainly we could throw in a triangular pyramid, no problem. You just have to have 1/2 times base times height of that base. All right, so now that we know these things, let's look at our picture where they're talking about. So to draw one of these things, you kind of got to draw like a little parallelogram, or maybe more a rhombus, because it's going to be congruent. The one I'm going to do is going to be congruent. Then I kind of put a dot up here and draw lines to each one of the vertices. So now looking at this picture, just so we can identify these pieces we were talking about. On the side here, it's on the side, it's a right angle drop because it's always an altitude. That's going to be my L. That's my L. That's what we're talking about, that lateral height. It's the height of the lateral side. If you remember back into 6th grade, that's talking about the lateral. That's the lateral. The perimeter of the base depends on what our base is down here, but that's a side, and that's, of course, a side of the base, because whatever that base is. Here my base is a square, because I just told you it was, so then it would be side times side. And then the area, 4 times the side. Then the big B is the area of whatever base I have, which is also on your formula sheet. They have this identified as well. So let's look at a basic problem for a pyramid. Then we'll look at a little more complex problem for a pyramid. Okay, so first, I'm just going to go ahead and write on this picture here and say, let's say our lateral here is 5 and our side here is 2 inches and 2 inches. So how do I just put into this formula that I have? So I'm going to go ahead and calculate my surface area. So surface area equals 1/2 LP plus big B. So now, my surface area, which is what I'm calculating, is 1/2 my lateral, which we said here was 5. The perimeter of my base, my side is 2, and I know it's a square because both sides match. So it's 2, so it's 4 times 2, because that's what the perimeter would be. Oops, that's a 2, sorry, 4 times 2. And then the area of my base, that's a plus. Area of my base, because I said it was a square pyramid, is going to be then 2 times 2. So now when I go ahead and solve it, I just got to put it all together. The biggest place people mess up with this pyramid is right here. They want to go ahead and just put it all in as one big multiplication. It is not. Surface area has bits and pieces you're putting together. Volume, when we get to that, is just one big multiplication. But surface area is bits and pieces. So I take my handy dandy calculator. And so I say 1/2 times 5 times 4 times 2. This side here is 20. That's just this piece right here. And then 2 times 2 is 4. So my surface area is the 2 added together, so it's 24, and it was inches that are squared. Simple. It's just knowing what the bits and pieces are. So if life was always that simple, it would be great. But you always know we got something craziness going on. So let's look at another pyramid. All right, so I have this pyramid here. Now I have this thing on the inside. It's going to be my height. My height is on the inside, okay? My side, I'm still going to make it 10 inches by 10 inches. And I'm going to make my height here just 20 inches. Doesn't matter. All right, so what's wrong with this picture now? Well, what's wrong with this picture here is, do I need a height or did I need a lateral height? Exactly. I said that I needed a lateral height, which would be the distance out here. That's my lateral height, and that's what I need. So how am I going to find the lateral height? Exactly. This is a right angle. If I put it to the side, it's going to actually it's going to bisect it. So that means that it bisects the height here because I have a perfect square. So when it drops this altitude, he's going to be 5 right here because it's going to break it in half. I got a right triangle. Who shows up to the party with a right triangle? Exactly, my Pythagoras. So to find my lateral here, I'm going to have to say my lateral squared because he will be my C because he's directly across here. Here's my right angle and he's directly across from my right angle, so he's my C. So my lateral squared equals my height squared plus my side squared. So the lateral squared is 425 because that's 400 and that's 25. So now my lateral, and I'm just going to leave it as the square root of 425. Unless I have an exact number, I'm not going to change it in the middle of my problem. I'm going to leave it as a square root. Why? Because when I go to multiply it, I can put it in. It'll give me a decimal answer. If you're using a calculator that's hard to do on, then go ahead and get a decimal place, but leave it out 3 places. Because if you don't leave it out 3 places, then it's going to mess you up later. Because you can't round to tenths and round to tenths and round to tenths, or you're going to have a big old factor, a rounding error. So here, he's going to be 20.616 rounded. 3 places if you have to get the decimal. Some of your calculators you might have to do that on. So now, I want to find my surface area. Well, it's 1/2 LP plus B. My surface area equals 1/2. I just calculated my L. I'm going to leave him as the square root of 425. If you don't have to, put in the 20.616. Plus my perimeter of my base. Well, my perimeter of my base is 4 times the side, so it is 40. Oop, that's not plus. That's multiplication. Sorry. Plus my area of my base, which is 10 times 10, which is 100. So now I just come by and say 0.5 times my square root of 425 times 40 gave me 412.3105 blah, 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 plus 100. So my surface area is 412.31 inches squared. So the only thing different on this problem is that if I'm not given that lateral and I'm only given a height, I've got to find the lateral, which you might have to do. You're all pretty smart people. You can handle it. So, and an area is always, a surface area or area is always going to be inches squared. So, do you want me to throw in a triangular prism in case? That's up to you. Okay, sure. We'll throw in a triangular prism and then we'll do a cone because cones are very easy. So now, with my triangular prism, they kind of look weird. You have a triangle down here, however he may look, and he's going to go up to a triangle over there. That's really, really, really weird. Okay? So, with this one here, I'm just going to put that there for my lateral so we can find it. I'm going to put 5 here. That's the base of my triangular bottom. Sorry. My height here, I'm going to make 10. We're not going to try to make it any crazier than it is, but we could. And then my lateral height here is, we'll make it 15. We'll make them nice and tall. All right, so does my formula change? Absolutely not. My formula is my formula for any pyramid you encounter. And this I said was the triangular one. I do not know if you will have any. I do not think you'll have any, but you might. And if you do, you know how to handle it. So, with the triangular pyramid, my surface area is still 1/2 LP plus B. Then comes the plugging in part is the weird part. Okay, the plugging in part is the weird part. Oh, and I'm going to have to add more information if it's a triangle, aren't I? So let's see. So my surface area is 1/2. We said the lateral was 15. Now the perimeter of the base, my base here is a triangle. Yeah, I made that have a lot of work. I didn't give you this side over here. I said that the base was 5, but the base isn't 5. The base of my triangle is 5. But remember, with a triangle, you have 3 sides, makes my pyramid. So makes my bottom, my triangle. So I'm going to say that these two are congruent. Because I like math, I'm going to go ahead and do Pythagorean theorem to find the third side. So I'm going to come off to the side over here and say, okay, what is this side here going to be? Again, I'm just going to call him x for a minute. So x squared equals 10 squared plus 5 squared. So x squared equals 100 plus 25 is 125. So x is the square root of 125. So that's the side. And I said that it's going to be an isosceles triangle, so it'll be the same. So in this case here, just to save doing any kind of work, we're going to go ahead and make him, we're going to go ahead and just do the math on him. So the square root of 125 gives me 11.18, 0.3, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going to make him 11.8. So now, my perimeter then of my base here is just going to be 11.18 plus 11.18 plus the 5, which was just a mess. And I apologize for that. I just gave you the messiest problem possible. You will not see this in your work, but that's okay. All right, so plus 11.18 plus 5 on my calculator makes that whole thing, oh, I forgot the very well. Plus times the 15 times the 0.5. I'm just going to go ahead and do the math right there. So hold on. So this side of my equation, just because I had it on the calculator, sorry, is 205.203. Now I didn't do the area of the base yet, so I got to come back here and do my area of my base. I didn't do that yet. My area of the base is 1/2 times my base times my height. He was easy. I had those two things listed. So he's just 25 because he's 1/2 of 10, which is 5. 5 times 5 is 25. So then my surface area is 230.20 blah, 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 blah. And again, we don't want to forget our inches squared. Yeah, that was kind of ugly. I don't think you're going to encounter that. I can tell you we were in the classroom. I would have given you one because I'm just mean like that. But anyway, I don't think that's in your homework. I think your homework is just your regular square pyramids or your rectangular prisms. So watch your base, your rectangular prisms, pyramid. So watch your base. The last one we're going to do is the cone, who's really easy. The cone's really, really easy. So my cone is just a circle, and then put the bottoms in. With my cone, I'm going to need a little bit of a radius here. So let's make him 10 inches. And with my cone, my formula says, hey, my surface area equals pi r squared plus pi r L. L again being my what? Exactly. Here I said was my radius. My L is my lateral height right here. So I'm going to do one where if you got a lateral height, I'm going to do one where you're going to need find a lateral height. So my lateral height here, let's just make him 8 inches. Really straightforward on this formula. My surface area equals pi times my radius squared plus pi times my radius times my lateral. Straightforward in the problem. No ifs, ands, buts, hows, or whys, no guessing, no separate substitutions. The only thing that's weird is my pyramid, I think, out of all of them. So, now, if it asks you to leave it in terms of pi, why don't I do that on this one since it's easy? So let's leave this one in terms of pi. So here I have 100 times pi, so it's 100 and pi, plus 80 pi. So my surface area then is 180 pi, because the pi's are like terms, they go together. So if it asks you to leave it in terms of pi, no big deal whatsoever. No big deal whatsoever. I don't think it normally doesn't, but it might ask you in terms of pi. So how does this get complicated, Miss Singletary? You know there's always a catch. So let's just make this as bad as it can be. It's inches. We don't change units. All right, so now let's just make them both meters. That's okay. We're not going to change units. My inches look like meters, so I just made them both meters. All right, so now I have this problem here. So first of all, what do I need for my formula? I need a radius. So here, because it goes all the way across, that's a diameter. So if I need a radius, my radius, if that's my diameter, my radius is 5 meters. So that's the first thing I need to identify. Second thing I need to identify is I need a lateral. What am I given? You're right, this is a height. My lateral is on the side over here, or on the other side, but it's on the outside. So again, who's showing up to my party? Right, my friend, Mr. Pythagoras. So with that here, he makes this right triangle here where he's 5. We just said the radius was 5. Here my height is 10. So to find my lateral, it's just, again, Pythagorean theorem where my lateral is my c. So L squared equals 10 squared plus 5 squared. So my lateral squared was the same as the other one. So it's 100 and that's 25, so it's 125. So my lateral is the square root of 125, which again, if you need to, just take it out 3 places in a decimal. No big deal. So now just plug everybody in. So pi times my radius squared plus pi times my radius times my lateral. And again, if you have one of those calculators that doesn't do well with the square roots, then just go ahead and make it the decimal 3 places out. This one I'm going to go get an exact answer for. So usually it'll say use 3.14 for pi. Otherwise, I don't care because you'll round in the end and it doesn't matter. It'd be tenths of hundredths that is different. I like to use 3.14 because I like to punch everything on my calculator. So that's, 78.5 plus 178.53. So my surface area equals plus my 78.5, 254.03 inches squared. And it'll tell you where to round to as well. It'll always tell you the directions. So the only thing I have to watch out on this one for is whether I have a lateral or I have a height, because that's going to make a difference on if I have to use Pythagorean theorem or not. So, y'all have a great day. Thank you.